Dragon's Blade 79 has been a member for 10 months. Says, I don't want to love this planet anymore. I wish political garbage like DEI would go away.
Yeah, well,
It will
I
in a
think he
matter of
means to
time.
live in this. Well, you know what? Just hang in there. It's rough for all of us, but just hang in there. Don't let them win.
He might mean love too, because nowadays you can't even find a DC for your AC anymore.
In almost every single case
That was a good
that
joke,
you could
damn.
point to out there, it's really all about following the money. And if someone is making a profit on it, it's going to be very difficult to get rid of it. That's the honest
Well,
truth.
you know, it's like freedom. You've always got to fight for it. So this is the eternal battle. It's like software piracy. It's always going to be a battle back and forth. As long as people hang in there, you know, this stuff shifts. This stuff shifts. Political correctness lasts about 10 years and tends to shift the other way. All these people in the middle that were glomming on the side of DEI and ESG and virtue signaling their butts off, they're going to swing the other way just as soon as the wind blows. And that's starting now.
Probably the only way to do it is what Florida did with getting rid of DEI and all their state-funded universities and colleges. It's not going to happen any other way.
Yeah, and as far as entertainment goes, you got to hit them in the pocketbook.
Well,
look,
that's where
I'm calling on
leading the way.
I'm calling on all gamers, and I'll include moviegoers in here. Take a break from 2 years. Go play indie games. Go play anything else. Let AAA just die for 2 years, and you will see the change you want to see. All it takes is a little discipline. There's entertainment alternatives out there. Take a break. 2 years. All I'm asking.
Well, I think Xbox is dead. I think it's gone.
Oh, they killed themselves.
It better be. I hope so. And I stand by completely. I agree. Let AAA game fails. There's so many good alternatives, even retro gaming.
I've wanted to ask this question in the last few days, Grums. What do you think GTA 6 is going to look like?
Oh, jeez. Okay, so we have a data point here. Look at what happened to Saints Row, right?
Yes.
And I think that was SBI. The SBI
consults
on that.
It was SBI. Yep.
Saints Row was all about being offensive and politically incorrect, and they stripped all of that out. SBI went in there, all that vanished, and it tanked the game completely. It destroyed the franchise forever. GTA is also a pull no punches type of game in terms of what they're willing to say and do. And if any of that's retracted, if there's even a whiff of it, that's disaster. People will play GTA 5. There's endless mods for it. It's still going strong. You know, why should they switch over if they're going to completely abandon what made the game stand out in the first place? So that's going to be very interesting. I think that's going to be a litmus test for the AAA industry. And you know, and if there's any whiff of DEI in there that changes the nature of the game, it's going to be a disaster.
Although I'd say that 5 was tamer than 4.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways it was. Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how far it goes. People are so sensitive to this issue now, and more people know about it. They're going to be looking for it actively in GTA 6.
Would you say
I agree with you.
Would you say that pushing out the one of the Hauser brothers and the other writer that we were so fond of was not a good sign a few years ago?
It's hard to speculate. You know, studios remove people for all sorts of reasons. There's a lot of dirty politics. There's a lot of power plays, and there's a lot of money involved. So, you know,
okay,
they may not want to pay those royalties anymore. Who knows? It's all speculation at this point, but it ain't good. It certainly ain't good.
Sure. Okay.
Well, the female protagonist in there is not going to be killing a stripper anytime soon.
I don't know. If I get my opportunity, I'll be forcing.
Hell yeah. I'll be doing all kinds of crazy lesy weird shit.
Hey now.
Anyway, like that was one thing I do want to ask you, Grums, on this point. This is one of my issues with a lot of gaming now is I just don't feel like there's any innovation anymore, at least on the gaming side of things. Like Paul brought up that GTA 5 was tamer than GTA 4. I mean, I feel like outside of the gravity mechanics and certain other things that they had worked on between games, things had actually kind of gone downhill since San Andreas, where you actually had a lot more options and things you could do in the world. And I feel like it's gotten more closed off. And like, I don't know if this has been my big thing is I just feel like there's not as much innovation in gaming. Do you think that a lot of this stuff has gotten in the way of them coming up with new.
Well, the budgets are insane. I mean,
Yeah.
you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you're doubling that for the marketing effort. And so you're going to stick with tried and true formulas, and it's also hard to push any sort of new vision through for two reasons. One is it just takes a long time to launch a brand new IP from scratch. Is around 7 years. They're saying it's around 7 years in AAA right now. The other reason is I think that you cannot have a cohesive new vision with team sizes that are 400 or 500 people spread over 6 to 8 different studios. How do you have a cohesive vision when you're so fragmented like that? I can tell you that past a team size of 60, on World of Warcraft, it's very difficult to do. So I'd like to see more of these AAA, these AA gambles. Like you're seeing the innovation, Power World's delivering a better Pokemon experience in early access, even with all its bugs, than the latest Pokemon games, right? You've got Helldivers, which is exploring mechanics that I've always been in favor of, sort of these real-time wars where players can influence over the outcome of the game in the long run. I'd like to see more bets there. I think that these studios and Chato, I think you said this too in your video. You said, it'd be nice to see it back in the old days. They took a gamble in multiple shows on TV, right, and saw what sticks. Saw what sticks. I'd like to see take one AAA budget game of $300 million and let's split that up into $20 million games and see what sticks. And if AAA studios can pivot and do these pilot programs and sponsor a bunch of little studios to do it, I think they're going to have fresh content that they can then leverage up into billion-dollar franchises that carry for multiple decades. This is what they really need to do, especially now where, cash flow is king. Kill one of your games, take half the budget, kill one of your tentpole games that's woke and DEI infested, take half the budget and invest it in a bunch of little projects, promote the ones that succeed and kill the rest. And I think that that's how you get AAA to be creative again.
Yeah. Again, going back in time and being old man yelling at the clouds. I remember my favorite time was, playing Deus Ex, Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, Mass Effect. Those all felt like different games.
Right.
They were.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And
there's
they're
a lot
not
more innovation.
They're not feeling different anymore.
No. They're all running with the same thing. And even like I said, like I feel like we're regressing with some of these games, like we're going backwards. Well, and on that note, I mean, story wise, go ahead, Culture.
No, but you guys, okay, so you guys are entertainment guys, okay? Gaming, film, television, it's the same business. Everything's stale right now.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah. Everything's grown stagnant for years.
So
yeah.
Grum's
talked about that.
Grum's suggestion is something that I would throw my full support behind, and I probably said something similar. Stop spending giant money on games, build up new franchises, because you keep regurgitating the same cheese whiz and people aren't going to chew it up anymore. They just, they tap out.
I want to see the live action version of Dig Dug. That's what I want to see.
Starring Chris Pratt.
Yeah, it's just smart to diversify your bets a little bit. These games have gotten too expensive, and no one's buying the higher price point of $70. People, there's a huge upswell in the $40 to $50 range, and these smaller budget games. That's what's dominating the charts right now. Some AAA studio out there has got to see that and say, we need to create a label for this. We need to maybe it's like I hate to use Ubisoft because they'll never do this, but it's sort of like I don't know, Ubisoft Lite or Ubisoft Ubisoft Untamed or something like that, and they launch this little label and they promote a bunch of little studios and they make small bets, and that's going to you need to be a farmer. You need to farm for new IPs, and you need to cultivate them.
Hollywood used to be that way. You're right, and now they've gone the other way. I can see the parallel here. Where I'm sure there's just a lot of politics and shit involved in these AAA studios where there's just so many people and so much money involved. It's the same kind of thing in Hollywood. And they have gotten so reliant on the quote unquote sure thing with the superheroes and those kind of things to where they have almost forgotten how to make these other movies. And I bring this point up, and Paul does often too, they don't do the little movies anymore. They don't know how to anymore, I don't think. Because even when they do try to make one of these little movies, they still find a way to make it cost $100 million. They don't make a great example is horror, right? Like look at like Terrifier and that stupid Winnie the Pooh movie. They made bank and they cost absolutely nothing to make. But look at a studio like Paramount who can't even get shit together like Scream, which should cost nothing to make. And I guarantee you this next one they're working on is going to cost the most of any of them because they're going to have to pay Nev Campbell and all these other people out the ass to be in it. And at this point, you're like, why aren't we on like Scream 17 with like a completely different cast and young kids and stuff at this point? Because they don't even know how to do that shit anymore, right? They don't even know how to make the horror movies like they used to with Friday the 13th and stuff at this point. They've totally forgotten what they used to do. And I'm sure it's the same thing in gaming, right? I'm sure every once in a while, if you make one of these little like, you know, a game like Tetris, which didn't, you know, take anything to make, but made billions of dollars, right? So I mean, once in a while you'll have one of those games and that game funds all these bigger, more ambitious games. But like, you're right. I see it here too, is like the AAA games are all these big, ambitious games. And they're not even able to compete with these smaller level games that aren't doing anything special.
Well, because
go ahead. Yeah.
It's filled with execs that don't really know gaming. They know AAA gaming. They know that space very well, but they don't have the ability, because they're not hardcore gamers, to look at the diamonds in the rough and pick winning projects, right? And you got to have a executive team that can do that if you're talking about taking riskier investments. They need the people. They need to get people in there that can do that.
But we have the tools now to be able to put out, let's say, a black and white stick figure version of your physics and animations, and let people out in the public try out the vision that you have for how something is going to work, and then start adding to it. There is a room for a completely different production method of constant cyclical updates.
So you're saying release a wireframe model performance of your game?
That's correct. And get input. Don't keep it a giant secret, because this secret bullshit is nonsense. It's just, it's not how gamers think. They'd be thrilled to get the wireframe version, have input, and be part of the marketing build of the system. You know,
well, that's what
lots of ways of doing.
We release white box levels, we release
Correct.
white box mechanics, and we build a community around that.
Correct.
Seed, and then we use their feedback to avoid bad decisions. AAA studios need to understand the value of the gamer community. They need to have direct interface and outreach. And unfortunately, the only communities they're building and the only outreach they're doing are all these really incompetent community managers, incompetent lead devs that shouldn't be on social media, blaming gamers and hating gamers publicly.
Yeah, well, they don't like us
about it.
Yeah,
and that is really bad for business, and it's no way to build a community. Get the community in there. And you know, we talked about, hey, they could just fund a bunch of these little projects. You don't even have to fund them to completion. You'll save a lot of money. You weed them out with community feedback, and you cut the weaker projects, because they're all on milestone based funding, you know, month to month or quarter to quarter, and demo to demo. Get those demos out in front of the public, get early gameplay out in front of the public. That's how you can build the intelligence network and give you the feedback on what's going to succeed. It's like pilots for TV, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is, then you can be a bit more creative, and you don't have to swing for the fence with each one, which increases the production time and also increases the anxiety of whether it's going to succeed or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Look,
and Tennille, on the point of GTA 6, says it was about a Serbian war veteran with a grim past, and GTA 4. I mean, sorry, yeah. GTA 5 was basically just about my neighbors here in LA and their wacky friends. So yeah, which do you think would be more tame? Well, I mean, in the story sense, yes.
The trailer for 6 looks fun.
It looks interesting, I guess.
I love the Florida scene with the big asses.
But they're not going full. They're not going full Florida man, dude. If they were going to do this, I wanted full Florida man.
Then they'd have old Jewish women with guns.
Well, and why do we have to go back to Vice City? We've already been there. Like why can't they go somewhere else?
If GTA 6 looks like the trailer and is unapologetic, they're going to do so well.
Yeah,
right.
They're going to do so well because there's such a thirst for that.
But there's
my point.
The word Grumps that you just used at the beginning of that sentence is if.
Right. But we can only go by what they give us, and that trailer is not horrific.
Yeah, but it does have a bit of a girl boss in it, though.
I'm fine with a girl. I don't have a problem with a girl boss. I don't have issues with that.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There, you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe, and join us.